welcome everybody to the Magic Beans podcast. We are back again for episode number 173. I am your host, after a very big absence, Shorty, in case you've completely forgotten what my voice sounds like and who I am. And I'm joined by the two guys that have been holding down the fort while I've been away, in Chewy. How's it going, mate?
New podcast, Who Dis? Welcome back, mate. I'm well. I hope you are also.
Yes, I am. And we also have Cracker. How's it going, mate?
I'm good, man. Welcome back.
Thank you. You guys have been doing a tip-top job in my absence, which is
Thank you.
Really good to hear while I was cruising around in literally the middle of nowhere with no internet for quite a while, which is a good change, actually. I highly recommend getting out there and just forgetting that the internet even exists, because your phone is just a brick sitting in your pocket. So it's quite
nice. A torch. It's a torch and a camera. Yeah.
Yes.
And if you've got music downloaded to it, I guess it's like a expensive MP3 player.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I'll echo that, Shorty. There is nothing quite like day 2, day 3 of having no reception, when you're becoming used to it and you forget, because you're so used to having your phone in your right pocket and you always check that it's there before you go and do anything, and then you're like, I don't even know where my phone is. Don't care. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
After a couple of days, you realise, there's this other person that keeps following me around. Oh, that's right. That's my wife. That's a person I could actually talk to.
You have a face-to-face conversation with it. Literally, we're getting ready for the thing. I'm just, spamming memes to my wife, who's, upstairs from me. It's we spend a lot of time together.
Interactions.
But, yeah, absolutely. It's the difference between playing Arena or, actually going to a pre-release and sitting down across the table from an actual person, isn't it?
Makes a big difference.
It is.
Yeah, I can highly recommend a trip through Central Australia, or anywhere in Australia, really. It's kind of, you realise just how big our country actually is. We only got up to Alice Springs, and then you look at where Alice Springs is on a map and you go, oh wow, I'm so far north of Brisbane, which seems so far north of where we live. And it's just a totally different world out there. So yeah, highly recommend. I know, Chewy, you've been out there a bunch of times and done quite a few trips.
Yeah, absolutely. I love remote area traveling. It's I've been to Central Australia. I've been to Uluru 3 times. So there you go.
Yeah, right.
And a 4th is in the works. So
nice.
And I'd go again tomorrow. It's amazing. I love the vastness is its own draw card, right? There's nothing here. And that's awesome.
There's literally nothing.
So for the non-Australians, Uluru is called Ayers Rock, and it's that big rock that you see in all the photos that just depicts Australia in the desert.
It is literally one big rock, which is really weird.
Oh, there's Cartajuda that's
that's 50 k's
so far away. Yeah.
It's close by the Outback standards.
Yeah.
You can see it from miles away because there's nothing around it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you did the Oodnadatta track as well, right?
Yes, I did. Yes, yeah, good.
So it's that is good fun.
Barren wasteland.
Yeah,
of salt flats.
It's so cool. Best sunsets you'll ever see in your life.
Yeah, it's really weird. I imagine the majority of our listeners that are from Australia live, along the coastline somewhere, or you're in, central Victoria, like Azzy G and Sarah Soldiers who are in Bendigo, that sort of thing, where there's just stuff everywhere. Like everywhere you go, there's trees and there's buildings and towns and just and you've got phone reception almost everywhere. There's things everywhere, and then it's not till you get up into the middle of South Australia that you're like, there is literally nothing for the next 300 k's. There's just some small shrubs on the side of the road, and that's it.
We crossed the Tanami Desert. So we went from Alice Springs to Halls Creek, which is Wolf Creek Crater.
Yep.
And we drove for 16 hours over 2 days, and I saw 4 other vehicles, 3 of which were road trains from the mine out there. I saw more wedge-tailed eagles than humans in 2 days.
Yeah. And probably a million lizards.
Yeah. Some of them had legs, some of them did not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we are miles and miles off track, which was bound to happen.
This is an Outback touring podcast now.
Yeah. Well, we're doing our bit for Australia to bump those tourism numbers. Come and visit us. Come on to Broome. Come over. Come and visit. Come and play some Magic with us, and then we'll send you off in the middle of nowhere and give you some bad advice.
Like, speaking of, like, almost the gateway to the Outback is the little speck on the map where Josh and Pat's is located. So one of the benefits of being centrally located is he's kind of in the middle of everywhere, middle of nowhere, but the middle of everywhere. So your shipping gets to him really quickly. So Cracker, who am I talking about? What am I talking about? Who's Pat?
Who is Pat? Mate, if you don't know who Pat is...
He's an enigma.
I don't know if you've played Magic in Australia. Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar, Facebook auction page, and just all-round good people. They have nightly auctions for Magic cards and Win It Now lots. And they have got heaps of product and expect bulk Wilds of Eldraine coming out very soon. As soon as Pat can list that stuff, he will be. And there's usually the acclaim lots, which are awesome. So he will put up, say, I've got 50 copies of Ashiok. And you just say, I want 4. There'll be a price. You send in the money. He sends you the cards. It's a good deal. Gets there fast. And then you tell him that you want the sweet, sweet tokens that you can claim as well as part of your winnings. So go check him out, JP MTG Bazaar. And when you win an auction or buy some cards, let him know that the Bean sent you.
Very good. All right. Well, it turns out I did remember how to, do the intro for the episode. And Cracker, you've remembered how to do the ad read, despite Chewy having to do it for the last 4 weeks or whatever. So maybe we can still podcast to semi-professional.
The sheer volume means that we've stumbled our way into something that seems to work, right?
Yeah.
So... Shorty, you've missed a bunch, but I guess like the most pressing thing. Actually, a couple of things. How did you find all the releases coming out for 2024? Were there any of those sets that particularly grabbed your attention? Like there was more info about Doctor Who.
Yes, very excited about the Doctor Who stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing some more previews for that. I'm definitely snapping up those Commander sets on pre-order. I don't think they actually release till October sometime, so definitely getting in on that.
Just letting you know, Shorty, that Cracker and I are putting in our annual leave request from the podcast, and we're seconding J-Mud to come on the show with you to talk about the Doctor Who stuff, because as I said on the previous cast, I like Doctor Who, but I'm a casual Whovian, I think that's what you call yourselves.
That is correct, yes.
Yeah, so I don't know the deets and the depth of it like you and Mr. Mudd do. So I'm looking forward to being educated by you guys.
Sounds good. And I did hear all the millions of other set announcements that we had all the way up to like 2026. I'm like, goodness me. Like so, some cool stuff coming out, sounds like. Pretty excited excited in one sense, but also a little bit apprehensive about going back to Lorwyn. The last time we were at Lorwyn was when I rage quit from Magic.
Was that because of the fairy stick?
Yeah.
What have we got coming up right now?
Play fairies or lose, and it just put me off. So
I've got the polar opposite experience. That was when I had my most successful year as a Magic player. So it's I'm excited to go back to Lorwyn.
I'm pretty excited about it. It should be cool. It was a cool set.
Surely you've got affinity for Kithkin. They're small.
There was a lot of cool stuff in the set, and it was really fun. But what really ruined it for me was I was playing Stuffy Doll at the time, Chewy, as you would remember. I tried for ages and ages to try and win with Stuffy Doll, all these different brews.
Stuffy Doll. Oh.
Yep. And to the point where we would go to Card Heaven on a Friday night, play F&M, and I couldn't win. I could barely win a game with it. And then I think it was Alex, the guy who was running it at the time, said, if you can win, if you can take down an F&M, normally you'd get $50 as the prize, $50 cash. He said, if you can win, I'll give you $100 cash. And I won. I took it down one week, and I could not be happier. And then out comes Lorwyn, and out comes -1/-1. counters, and it just ruined my stuff. I was like, what are you going to do with an 0-1 indestructible? Oh, it's just dead to a 1-mana removal. Cool, thanks.
That you paid 5 mana for your creature for your 0-1. Yeah.
Yep.
The good news, boys. Lorwyn was only 16 years ago.
I'm not scarred at all.
Scars of Lorwyn.
Different set.
That's going to be the name of the set.
I mean, I really shouldn't laugh too hard. That's about the same age as my daughter, so...
Yeah, wow. We did figure out a few weeks ago that your dad is Gaddock Teague.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was almost too much information for me to take in.
Yeah.
Like there were so many sets, and it was just like, okay, I just come at me one at a time, please. Like, yeah, too much wizards. Like, calm the farm. Like, are they going for $2 billion in revenue for this year? Because the $1 billion from last financial year wasn't enough.
I'm looking forward to Cowboy Oko. See what happens there.
Yeah, be showdown at the Oko Corral. It's going to be great. Yeah.
It'll be good.
I think I'd mentioned Chewy last time that one of the guys I work with is like a huge Fallout fan. So I told him that they'd like announced a set, and he messaged me during the week. He's like, looking forward to these Fallout Magic cards. And I was like, it's like a year away still, man. He's cursing. He's like, why are they telling us this far in advance? I'm like, I'm sorry, dude. I said, when they come out, I'll let you know, because he wants to buy some. He just wants to buy packs to have them. So, like, it seems like a weird fit to me, but yeah, that was it.
It shows that what Wizards is doing is working. Like, that's the whole purpose. It's print these random things that are meant to attract other people into the game, and they buy one little secret lair, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, now I've got these cards, I might as well buy some other stuff, and then you're hooked. You're on that cardboard crack, and it's all downhill from there.
That's it.
Yep. All right. Well, we've got a couple of things to talk about tonight. We will actually get into a legitimate podcast, and with Eldraine about to be released, we have the pre-release on this weekend. So, the usual pre-releases, sealed events all weekend, some two-headed giants, all that sort of stuff. We thought we'd have a look at the Eldraine limited archetypes, as we tend to do when new sets coming out. And what we found over the years is that almost every single set has signpost uncommons in the form of their colour pairs. So the 10 colour pairs, your black, whites, red, greens, blue, blacks, all that sort of stuff, they're generally a card that's going to push you into or give you a guide for what those colour pairs should be in limited. And they're really good for that. So we'll have a bit of a look at those. We'll go through each of the 10 and sort of see what we think of each different archetype in this set. You tend to get your regular archetypes that we see all the time, but every now and then they come up with a good new one, so hopefully there's something good this time. This time, which isn't always the case, this time they're 10 legendary creatures. Just, wizards.
And they're all based on, they can be a commander, but they're all based on particular, like, well-known fairy tales as well. So I guess we'll have a little bit of a mini-game, a sub-game to see
what they are.
Yeah, I mean, some of them are pretty obvious, but it's pretty fun to do.
Cool. Well, take us away with the first one, Chewy. We're going to start with white and black.
Yeah, so that has a theme of auras, and by using the role enchantments, which are new to the set, and we explained that in the mechanics segment last week. There's the cursed set, the cursed mechanic. So yeah, black-white uses that as its kind of main trigger, I guess. And the signpost uncommon is Neva, Stalked by Nightmares. So she is 2 white-black for a 2/2 legendary creature, human noble. She has Menace. When Neva, Stalked by Nightmares, enters battlefield, return target creature or enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. So, upgraded Gravedigger. She also has, when an enchantment you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on Neva, then scry 1. So, it's recurring and sacrificing enchantments, getting those enchantments leave and enter the battlefield effects, plus often when enchantments hit the battlefield, they have an effect. That's why we play them. So, yeah, Neva, 4-mana, 2/2 Gravedigger, decent limited role player. You know, it's not a bomb that is going to, win the game on its own, but she's going to eventually get bigger as the game goes on. She does have menace, so, she's going to add pressure, but she's not a dragon. She's not like a, 5-mana 6/6 flyer type power level, but there's going to be a lot of synergies and triggers that come up through playing the black-white archetype, I think. So it's going to be like death by 1,000 cuts type scenario is how I read the black-white deck. What do you guys think? Have you seen any black and white auras that you're interested in?
Yeah, to clarify, the role mechanic creates a token enchantment.
Yes.
Which does go to the graveyard when it dies.
It does.
And that's something that, for, pre-release players, people that don't play Magic very often, which you do get a lot at pre-release, you get, that people that literally just come and play the pre-release, often, you just kind of assume, oh, that's a token. It doesn't go to my graveyard, which means it doesn't trigger.
Well, that's a rule that actually changed not that long ago as well. So, yeah. But okay. Neva works really well with... So there's another uncommon in white called Dutiful Griffin. It's a 5-mana 4/4 flyer. Sign me up. That's great. But it also has 2 and white, sacrifice 2 enchantments, return Dutiful Griffin from your graveyard to your hand. So if you've got things like Cursed Courier, which is a 3-mana 3/3 with lifelink, but it when it comes into play, you get a cursed roll enchantment token attached to it. It has base power 1/1, but you can sacrifice that to return your Dutiful Griffin, and your Cursed Courier becomes a 3/3 lifelinker again. So it's a synergistic archetype. So it's not going to have things that are just hugely raw power, although 5-mana 4/4 flyer is pretty good. 3-mana 3/3 lifelink is pretty good. But it's not going to be, it's a more subtle deck in that respect. So yeah, I'm looking forward to playing that. It's going to be one of those decks that either comes together or not at all, though, I think, like any synergistic, archetype. So, but I think it's a fun thing, and it's got the potential to be super powerful, as well, depending on, how the set sort of plays out when we, get into it. And how open it is at the draft table, or how well you open the packs at your pre-release.
And what
are your thoughts on? Oh, so, oh yeah, that's right. I started that, didn't I?
I don't know who this is. No idea.
Neva is Sleeping Beauty.
Sure.
Stalked by Nightmares, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. There you go.
All right. Next one, Cracker.
So what we have here is Ruby Daring Tracker. No surprises. This one's Red Riding Hood. It's literally in the art. She's got a red hood on. She is 1 and a red for a legendary human creature scout. And it is a 1/2 with haste. It says, whenever Ruby Daring Tracker attacks while you control a creature with power 4 or greater, Ruby gets +2/+2 until end of turn. She also has the activated ability of tap, add red or green. I really like this card. The theme for green is monsters. It's power 4 or greater, or mana value 5. So there's a lot of stuff here that this works really well with it. It curves really nicely into your big creatures. 2 toughness mana dorks tend to be really strong. They don't die to just individual pings, which is really good. In Constructed, specifically, it doesn't go to Bowmasters or Ren and 6. I don't know if we'll get into that, but yeah, if you top deck this later on, then it's a 3/4 with haste, which is a really strong kind of card for just 2 mana. So I think this one seems really good.
Yeah, I like this card.
the wording on this, is this like a new type of wording for this sort of effect? Like, whenever this attacks while you control a creature with power 4 or greater. Like previously it would have been worded like, when this attacks, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, it gets +2/+2.
Yeah, so you can't say trigger on the stack, kill your thing.
So this doesn't trigger. It just, you attack, you've got a creature with power 4 or greater, it gets +2/+2 to end it. Is that how it works?
Think of it like the ability has split second.
Yep.
Yeah. That's my own sort of mental heuristic for it.
Yep.
Because it's look, it's simplifying the game, making it a bit more direct. Fine, like it's you get blown out less. But for enfranchised players and judges, it's different, and it may cause a bit of conjecture over the journey. But
yeah, I wonder if it would mean, so like, let's say you put it into play attacking, like with what was the red-white?
Like Winota or something?
Winota, that's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah.
So like Winota
she's a human,
play,
yep, okay, yep.
Because you wouldn't get, previously with Winota, you wouldn't get like when this creature attacks triggers, because it wasn't being declared as an attacker, it was just being put into play like tapped and attacking. So I wonder if this would still get its triggers pump, because it's just when it's attacking. Whenever it attacks, it gets the thing.
And Winota's a 4/4.
That'd be interesting to see.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go. It works.
Combos, look out.
Yeah.
You just banned in almost every format.
Yeah. That. And putting in a 3/4 is, Winota's got grander plans than that, but. But yeah, it's interesting. It'd be interesting to keep an eye on how often we see that change come up.
Yeah, yep.
That templating change.
Yeah, like this card looks interesting for like red green, like you said, Cracker. It's big monsters and that sort of stuff. So it's, if you can play it on turn 2, it's ramping you to 4 straight away. So you can play something big. It's got haste, so technically you can play it as a 2 and play a 1-drop as well. So start going wide or whatever. But it's, if you play it, like, if you top deck this later on, it's like, oh, yeah, I've got a 1/2 with haste that's tapping for mana. I guess, if you are top decking it later and you've got a board, if you're in a bit of a, you're trying to push through damage or whatever, this is a 3/4 haste. So just an extra. Yep, cool. All right. Oh, we're going to talk about my favourite creatures. I just told you I was scarred about. Blue and black. So we have... Oh, why can't I even... Demir, man, I'm blanking on the colour names. It's been too long. Yep, so we have just a blue and black for a 2/2 Obira Dreaming Duelist. It is a 2/2 Fairy Warrior with flash and flying. 2/2 Flash Flyer. Sounds good. And has, whenever another fairy enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life. Seems really good with Bitter Blossom. Unfortunately, we don't have... well, thankfully, we don't have Bitter Blossom in Standard, because that would be quite nice. So, I believe there is quite a few fairies in this set, and then we are obviously going back to Lorne in the near future, so we'll get a whole bunch more. So I kind of feel like fairies for Standard is going to be a bit of a plant. It's one of those tribes where it's like, yep, we've got a bunch of stuff now, people will try and make it work, and it won't be good enough, and then in 3 sets time or whatever, when we get to go to Lorne, it's like, oh, okay, now we've got good fairies. For Limited, do you guys know, is there like fairy token creators, or are we just relying on
there's a couple of incidental fairy token creators. Like, there's a 5 mana sorcery that draws 3 cards and then creates a 1/1 fairy. And I remember seeing something. There was an adventure that created one, but I think I might have been. Maybe I'm wrong there. I can't see. I'm scrolling at the moment and couldn't find it. But
at the end of the day, like a 2/2 flash flyer is pretty sweet. And if you get to trigger it even twice, like you're doing really well. So,
well, if you play that on turn 2 and you've got, a 6 or 7 fairies in your limited deck, like it's going to do an extra, it's going to be a lightning bolt, but it's also attacking for 2. A lightning bolt spread over the course of a game is going to like do a lot of chip damage. Plus this thing should be good for 5 or 6 damage if your deck can support it. For 2 mana, that's pretty good.
Yeah. I just did a Scryfall search. In Wilds of Eldraine, there are 24 fairy cards with the fairy creature type.
Yeah.
Search for token creators. So there's actually quite a few. And yeah, it seems like the deck is playing your typical blue-black flash style. Bit of removal in your black, the odd counter spell here or there, bit of card draw. And yeah, flash creatures that you can put in at the end of your opponent's turn and just chip away through the air. So looks like quite a fun archetype to be playing, to be honest. I know. So yeah, fairies could be a cool archetype, and yeah, if you're seeing, if you're drafting and you're seeing a few of these Obira cards floating around in, the 3rd, 4th, 5th pick, that sort of thing, then I'd be snapping them up. And if they're coming through later in the draft, then definitely that archetype is wide open. So grab all the blue and black fairies that you can and a bunch of removal, and you're going to be good to go. There is a mythic fairy in blue-black as well, a 2 blue-black, and then there's a rare blue-black fairy as well. So, yeah, plenty of signposts getting around for that archetype, and if you enjoy playing that flash style, then you can have a lot of fun with it. All right, what's next, Stu?
Everybody's favourite limited archetype, Boros.
My favourite.
And we've got Ash Party Crasher, who is a red-white for a 2/2 legendary creature human peasant, and has the celebration text. So whenever Ash Party Crasher attacks, if 2 or more non-land permanents enter the battlefield under your control this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Ash. So celebration is, multiple permanents, non-land permanents at the coming in at the same time. So
yeah, like you can play Ash, and then play a second spell, and then that will trigger Ash for that turn.
yeah, absolutely. But, I'm not sure how good that is going to be. I'm waiting for a good, blue-red, limited archetype. Red-white, sorry.
Red-white,
I'll get there in the end. Yeah. So things that work with it are, and I'll use the example that I used before, like Cursed Courier. It comes into play with the token enchantment on it. So that's 2 non-land permanents in play. So there are things like that sort of incidental, incremental things. And there's Knight of Doves. So it's 2 and a white for a 1/3. Whenever an enchantment comes into play, enchantment you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield. Create a 1/1 creature token with flying. So, if you're doing things, you can get these 1/1s, and then you might be playing a creature that does that, and getting a. I feel like you've just got to work quite hard to get an effect, and the payoff is a +1 counter. If it didn't have haste, it'd be like stone just unplayable, I think. Yeah. But
I did a bit of a look through Scryfall, and there is quite a few like 1, 2, and 3 mana cards in red and white that do create either a treasure or a roll or something along those lines. So they are. Yeah. There are plenty of cards in those colours that are creatures as well that support, it's like play this on turn 2. On turn 3, you play a 3-drop that also makes a treasure, and there's your 2 permanents. This gets a counter, and you can sort of snowball from there. So there's definitely support for it, but it's having enough, and then if all the creatures you're playing are small... Is it actually good
enough?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, it's a 3/3, it's a 4/4, but, I don't know. It's like you're not drawing cards, you're just making a bigger dork. So, it's just, I feel like, I agree, I think it's the weakest of the sort of mechanics and archetypes, yeah. As red-white tends to be, sadly.
Yep. Well, yeah, the next archetype is also triggering a little bit off of the rolls, which is the green-white one. You got that one, Cracker?
So here we have Sir Armont the Redeemer, and this is 3 green-white for a human knight, and power and toughness is 4/4. And it says, when Sir Armont the Redeemer enters the battlefield, create a monster roll token attached to another creature you control. So a monster roll, just as a reminder, is a +1/+1 and trample. And this also says enchanted creatures you control get +2. So enters, as long as you've got another creature in, it immediately gives it +2/+2 and trample. So lets you punch through some attacks that you might not have had before. And on its face, it's just a 4/4 for 5, which is fine. Like it's not the most exciting, but I mean, in green and white, you should be pretty easy for you to be able to get, another creature into play to kind of value off this. And then you can really kind of just go wide. Hopefully you've got a lot of rolls. Green certainly has the support for that. And just being able to kind of put a lot of rolls in your different creatures. And if you can, out of nowhere, give everything +1/+1, and if you've got like a bunch of monster rolls already to give trample, then yeah, seems like it's got some upside. 5 mana is a bit. It's the most expensive out of all of these legendaries that we're looking at. So, you kind of want the value to be there, but it certainly has the potential.
Fine. Like, you play that in limited. 5 mana 4/4s are absolutely fine. And if you've got creature enchantments, auras in your deck, then, they're going to get bigger when you cast them and things like that. But, yeah, it's hopefully you've got something in play. Like, you described, like, the absolute flaw of the card. And a 5 mana 4/4 in limited, 5 mana 4/4 in limited, I'm playing that every single time. So, I don't mind that at all. And it's, sometimes there's going to be that rare case where you just whiff. I don't get a monster token. But, other times it's play this, put a monster token on something that is, makes it bigger and it gets bigger again and pumps the rest of your team. So I can see the ceiling of this just being, I just win the game when I cast this in a lot of situations as well. So I will probably first pick this card at some point, rightly or wrongly. Because I want to, the upside is, I jam this, it's a overrun. So, or it's a good role player, it's going to trigger my other synergies, and the fail case is I got a 5-mana 4/4. Okay. I'm comfortable with all of those things.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'll play it.
All right, the next one along, I'm pretty sure, is Jack coming down the beanstalk with a golden egg. Certainly what it looks like. Troyan Gutsy Explorer, 1 green-blue for a 1/3 Vidalcan Scout. It has tap, add green-blue. Spend this mana only to cast spells with mana value 5 or greater, or spells with X in their mana costs. Or you can tap a single blue and tap this, draw a card, then discard a card, so loot. So blue-green, unsurprisingly, is all about big big spells, bunch of X spells, expensive spells, big creatures, all that
Was
sort of stuff.
Polywaffle on the design team for this set, by any chance?
Seems
It's just the most Polywaffle card ever.
Which is not surprising for Simic. We've seen that plenty of times, and I think this card's doing everything you want. It's a 1/3, so it's a reasonable blocker, I guess. If you've got a big spell in your hand, you play this on turn 3. Turn 4, you play a land. You've got 6 mana, so turn 4 you can play a 6-drop. Or a large X spell. If you don't have one of those spells in your hand, well, then you can loot and try and find it. So it's kind of doing everything you want in those decks, because that's often a problem in those decks. Is you either have all the expensive spells and you don't have the ramp to cast them, or you have all the ramp and you don't have any of the expensive spells, and you're trying to find ways to find them.
I'm tempted to, if I've got this in my deck, that 18th land is going to look really, really tempting to me, because if I've got this, I've got a bunch of expensive spells and X spells in my deck. So if I don't draw it, I want to make sure I hit my land drop so I can cast them. And if I have these, I can just loot away the excess lands if I need to. So I like this, and I need to play with it and get into the depth of the other cards that would go into, what this limited archetype would look like. But I think this actually shifts the needle on how I build my deck. I would look at this and go, am I better off playing this other mediocre thing or another forest? So yeah, I'm interested to explore this card quite a lot. It's obviously really good. And the archetype could be really fun, because you're just playing goose hydras and all those sort of shenanigans. But it might actually lead to interesting deck construction choices as well, which is cool. That doesn't always, not many single cards do that. So yeah, I'm excited by this card.
Yeah, pairing this with Goose Mother would be very nice.
Yeah.
Just... make a bunch of foods and draw cards, and seems good. All right, what do we got next?
We've got Greta, who is the Sweet Tooth Scourge. So this card's a bit cute, but also pretty powerful. So it's 1 black-green for a 3/3 legendary creature human warrior. When this enters the battlefield, create a food token. You can pay 1 green, sacrifice a food, put a +1 counter on target creature, activate only as a sorcery, or you can play 1 and a black, sacrifice a food, draw a card, and you lose a life. So 3 mana, 3/3 that makes a food and then does stuff with food. So obviously you want, all of the food synergies in green, and it either makes your things bigger or draws you cards. This thing's a house. I love it. And like the gummy worm.
Yeah, the art is just awesome. Just chopping up some some cupcakes and there's an apple in the background and just,
Yeah, it's pretty cool. They had a lot of fun with this, with the gingerbread houses and the scary trees in the background. So obviously, Gretel from Hansel and Gretel. But yeah, this is one of the cards I want to open. I want to see these in my packs because this looks powerful. Like, I'm going to have the biggest thing or I'm going to draw cards and have more cards. So, pretty good.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of this one?
Only being able to do the plus counter at sorcery speed is a little bit annoying.
Yeah. I had to balance the power, I guess. Yeah.
But yeah, if you've got other ways to produce some food and you can just keep... You're either paying 2 mana to sack your food to gain life if you need to, or you can pay 1 and a black, 2 mana, and sack a food and draw a card. So it turns your food into treasure, into clues.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Pretty cool.
Phyrexian cool Arena clues, yeah.
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 Yep, sweet. All right, next.
So in blue-white, we have Shorty of the Numbing Depths, and it is 2 blue-white for a Merfolk Wizard with 2/3 power and toughness. And it says, when Shorty the Numbing Depths enters the battlefield, tap target creature an opponent controls and put a stun counter on it. Reminder stun counters: if a permanent with a stun counter would be untapped, remove one of the stun counters instead. And then it also says, whenever you tap one or more untapped creatures at your opponent's control, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. The card is amazing. Seems really, really strong. Comes down, immediately locks down your opponent's best creature for 2 turns, and you get to draw a card. Sign me up. There's heaps of support in both blue and white at instant speed and at sorcery speed with other creatures. Lots of spells to tap things down. I really like the take on this archetype. Normally blue-white's flyers, but in this case we've got like a tap sub-theme. And if you can get Shorty on the board and start tapping things down and just drawing your cards back and gaining value, there's a lot that can be done with this one. So this really excites me.
There's a 2 mana 2/2 at common, Frostbridge Guard, I think it's called. Yeah, that's it. And it's 2 mana 2/2, great, but it's got 2 and a blue. 2 and a white tap target creature. Right, so it's an expensive activation, but you're getting the stun counter and a card if you've got these things in play. And obviously she does it on her way in as well. So Shorty does that by, taps an opponent on ETB and gets a card. So 4 mana 2/3, tap your best thing for this turn and next, replace itself. Yes. Like at common, freeze in place. It's a sorcery, 1 and a blue. Tap target creature and opponent controls. Put 3 stun counters on it. Scry 2. So, like, ordinarily that card you would look at it and go, like it's a bit of a weak removal spell. But when you're thinking about the critical mass of tapping, and this could be an absolutely miserable archetype to play against.
Yeah. Yep.
But so much fun to play. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can do it. It is once per turn, but you can do it you can get it on your turn, and then you can get it on your opponent's turn. So yeah, you've got Freeze in Place, which is the sorcery one, but then there is also Plunge into Winter, which is 1 and a white instant. It's not stun, but it's tap up to one target creature, scry one,
or you
then draw a card. So it is 2 mana. You get to tap down a creature on your opponent's turn. You get to scry one, and then you're drawing 2 cards. Seems
pretty
quite
good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very cool archetype. Very, very powerful. So, yeah, I think if you're seeing one of them being passed around, you are pretty excited, and you're jumping straight into a white and blue, because that seems like a very, very solid archetype. Be definitely keen to draft that one. Another one that I'm always keen to draft. This is Johan, Apprentice Sorcerer. This looks very much like Mickey Mouse in the Sorcerer's Apprentice thing.
It does.
Like, in a room, yeah, there's a bunch of water things, like water elementals and fire elementals and things just all over the place around him. So, yeah, definitely giving those vibes. But it is 2 blue-red for a 2/5, which you don't see that very often from a human wizard. Yeah, not sure what's going on there, but either way, that's a very good blocker. It's got, you may look at the top card of your library anytime, and then once each turn you may cast an instant or sorcery spell from the top of your library. So
each turn, not just on your turn, right?
Yes, once each turn, but it's only instants and sorceries. You've still got to pay for them. There's no, you're not getting anything for free, all that sort of stuff. That'd be
if this
crazy.
nets you 1 card over the course of the game, it's still card advantage.
Yeah, I think we know, like, blue-red spells is almost always the archetype for blue-red, and if you've got a signpost like this, you know that there's going to be the spells. I mean, we just spoke about a couple of the blue, stun spells and those sorts of things. Red's got a bunch of different burn spells. There's a new shock that's not quite shock, it's more like magma spray or whatever. Does a bit of exiling, and you can bargain, sacrifice something and deal 3 damage instead. So there's going to be a bunch of that sort of stuff floating around. I think I haven't played blue-red spells in draft for a very long time. I mean, I haven't drafted for ages, but what, do you need like 15 spells to...
No, not that many. Like 8.
8? Okay, that 8 doesn't...
8 would be the minimum.
Near enough for me.
Because if you're playing 15, how are you actually winning? Like, you don't have creatures to
you got to have
damage.
Some creatures on top of that to finish the game,
But yeah, I if I had less than 8, I'd feel like I'm in the wrong archetype. But like 17 land, 8 spells. So what's that? 25. Yeah, then
that's still 15 creatures. That's a lot of creatures in a spells deck. So yeah,
8 would, as I said, 8 the minimum. Yep. 8 to 12, like 15, and if you're just playing one. I guess it depends on what the spells are, right? If you've got 8, just like put a stun counter on something, or 15 things that do that, then like I'm worried about that, right?
Yeah.
Because like you're just sort of delaying the inevitable. You're not progressing your own game plan. So yeah, you need to get the balance right. And deck construction is important. It's like, am I better off playing this like random creature because it attacks and blocks, or am I better off playing a cantrip would be fine. Sorry, a weak spell for density, and a lot of the time you're better off playing like the 3 mana 2/3 Tolarian wizard, because it's going to cost them a card to remove it a lot of the time, or it might trade, or that sort of thing. So whilst it doesn't like do the thing, it's a necessary evil to not lose. So yeah.
Yep. Rules question: can you cast adventures off the top of your library? I assume you can. You are casting an instant or sorcery spell from the top of your library.
If I have a mystical tutor, can I find Bone Crusher Giant?
No,
because it's a creature.
It's a creature
with adventure. So I don't think you can cast an adventure off the top of your library.
Yeah, I don't know. We'd have to find out that. That's definitely a judge question that would be
Okay.
worthwhile finding out because, yeah, like technically you are casting an instant or sorcery from the top of your library.
Yeah, but
casting an adventurer.
That card on the top of your library, I believe, is a creature whilst it's in your library.
Yeah, but it doesn't say you can cast an instant or sorcery card. Like, it doesn't say, like the wording on it, if it said you may cast if you have an instant or sorcery card on the top of your library, you can cast it.
Yeah, but it says instant sorcery spell. It's a creature spell.
It says you can cast an instant or sorcery spell from the top of your library.
Yeah, but it's a creature spell when it's in your library.
Yeah. Don't know. We'll have to find out.
Okay.
It's definitely something worth asking because, yeah, I think it could go either way.
We need a judge.
Yeah.
It's super intuitive. It's great.
We can go around in circles. We're not going to have the answer because none of us know.
Yeah.
But definitely look it up. If you do find out the answer, let us know in Discord because, it'd be pretty handy to know. I suspect it does because that's this, the whole set is adventures and creatures with instant sorceries tacked on it. Like, it just seems that it would make sense. But, yeah, it might not. So double check that. Definitely find out before you go to your pre-release. So if either you or your opponent is doing it wrong, you're not getting in trouble. All right, we've got one left. Red-black. Totentans Swarm Piper. 1 black-red for a 2/3 human warlock bard. Whenever this or another non-token creature you control dies, create a 1/1 black rat creature token with this creature can't block. And then it's got 1 and a black. Target attacking rat you control gains death touch until end of turn. So the black rats that can't block is a big theme through this set. There's it's heaps of things that make those tokens, so you're going to probably spit out a fair few of those. But it's pretty likely your opponent's just going to kill this creature before you get too many rats. It's one of those things where it's like, if you're attacking and you've got 2 mana untapped, your opponent's just going to not block your rat, and then they're going to take 1. Like, yes, it can, how many times have we all killed someone by attacking with a 1/1, Llanowar elves, that sort of thing, but because it is only on attacking, it's not the best.
Yeah, I think the first paragraph is the more relevant one on this, because you're getting, hopefully you're getting value by sacrificing things, and you're getting the payoff of, whatever the bargain or whatever it might be.
Bargain. Yeah, I was going to say,
and you're replacing
sacrifice stuff, but bargain. That's,
you're replacing it with a 1/1 that you can bargain again and that sort of thing. So it's obviously Pied Piper, but I think this, it's one of those synergistic archetypes. Again, like, you've got to have the right density of sacrifice fodder and sacrifice payoff, sacrifice effects with payoffs as well. So these can be super powerful, or they can be, I just didn't draw the right half of my deck and I lost sort of situation.
I did a Scryfall search in red and black for sacrifice, and the vast majority of the sacrificing stuff is tokens, like creating tokens that can be sacrificed, treasures and food and that sort of stuff. There is not, I can't even find a card that is like a sacrifice engine. So it seems a bit of a weird archetype, but yeah, I mean, maybe just the value is that you've just got creatures, small creatures, and they die, and you're pumping out some rats, and yeah. It also does trigger off itself dying. So if they do kill it, you do get a 1/1 rat out of it, which is pretty good. I did also do some looking, and yes, with Johan, you can cast Adventures off the top of your library. That is confirmed. So
okay, cool.
Very cool. All right, so they're the uncommon signposts, the multicolored signposts. What archetypes or what colors are you most keen to be drafting, Chewy?
There's a couple. I won't steal Cracker's thunder, but I'm interested in the blue-green rampant X spells, but I'm gonna answer your question not exactly as the way you might have thought, but Teamer. I want Teamer because I want 4 power payoffs, but I want to be ramping into my big giant monsters. So I could see, particularly in sealed, Teamer would be that's where I want to go. It's got the red removal, the blue green ramp, and then your Gruul cards are gonna they're gonna pay you dividends for your Simic cards coming into play. So
yeah, I like that's a good answer.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, like you can splash, a couple of blue tap down, stun spells or something just to clear the way for your big attackers and things like that as well.
Absolutely,
so,
yeah. I think I like it.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to that.
Cracker?
I'm actually really excited by this set. Like, it seems like it should be a lot of fun to draft. To the surprise of nobody, the archetypes that appeal to me the most, blue-red spells. I think that if you can cast some free spells off the top, well, not free, cast spells off the top of your library and get some value that way, be awesome. The blue-white seems really cool. Like I said, there's a lot of support there, and I think that one will be the most annoying to play against without question. And blue-green ramp, I think that like the payoff in that legend there seems really strong. You've got kind of both sides. You get to loot for your spells if you need them, or you get to cast your big fatties. So those ones particularly appeal to me. I think that it should be a really fun set. I'm actually kind of keen to play some sealed and draft this one and, sort of see how deep the synergies go. It feels like there's a lot of adventures kind of all through the curve, and that means you just have so much to do on different spots. So it should be really fun. I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on these cards.
Yep. I think blue-white is likely going to be the strongest. That seems like a really, really cool archetype. But I think I'd actually be super keen to play the fairies, the blue-black fairies. Despite my scars of Lorwyn, I really enjoy the playing the fairy style. I mean, I've played tons of Bitter Blossom since then.
Yeah, you played rogues. I remember
rogues.
I remember playing in
fun.
2009. Shorty was playing rogues in standard. He was way ahead of the curve.
Yeah, but no, that archetype looks cool, and there is a lot of flash threats, flash flying threats, and fairies, and you just have strong. You have good card draw, but good removal as well. So it looks pretty cool. All right, so we were going to go through some previews of a few extra cards. Maybe we pick one each that we're keen on because we're starting to go long already. Chewy, you got one off the top you want to go?
Yeah. A card I had to read twice, and then I thought it was a fake card, and then I found it on Scryfall and it was confirmed. Pretty excited about this card for a few reasons, but Mosswood Dread Knight is an adventure creature. The creature side of it, I'll do the adventure side first. So, Dread Whispers, it's 1 and a black for a sorcery, draw a card and you lose a life. Okay. Cool. The creature side of it, 1 and a green for a 3/2 with trample, human knight. When this dies, you may cast it from your graveyard as an adventure until the end of your next turn. So you just constantly have a drawing of a card and a 3/2 trample that can just cycle through, constantly draw your cards. A Jund Sack Cat Oven in Explorer. Anybody? Just lots of sacrifice synergies, and just like a recurring cheap creature for beating control decks and grinding people out. Like, it's just, if The Rock as an archetype, needed a new pinup boy, it's Mosswood Dread Knight. It's cool. I think this will see a fair bit of play in Standard.
Blocks forever.
It's in Sheoldred colours. Like green black or green black X might just crop up as a standard deck. So I'm looking forward to exploring that.
All right, Cracker, you got one?
So the card that I want to talk about is Hearth Elemental, and it is 5 and a red for a creature elemental, and it's a 4/5. It says, this spell costs X less to cast, where X is the number of cards in your graveyard that are instant cards, sorcery cards, and or have an adventure. So kind of like Tellurian Terror, 4 mana, it should be, pretty easily a 2 mana or 3 mana, hopefully 4/5, but it also has an adventure side, which says Stoke Genius, and it says discard your card, it's a sorcery, then draw 2 cards. So this is amazing. You just get to kind of dump a bunch of lands, or perhaps like a removal spell or counter spell, probably not a removal spell, but a counter spell or something that you've got that just isn't going to fit in your curve, and you can, effectively, hopefully pay 3 mana for this card. So you Stoke Genius, this goes into exile, you're on an adventure, and then you pay 1 red and you can cast it from there because you've just kind of fueled it up. So this seems really strong to me, and I will definitely be jamming it in Standard, and being sad about it, I'm sure, but I will definitely try and have some fun.
What about you, Shorty? What's caught your eye?
Charming Scoundrel. So 1 and a red for a 1/1 haste. It's a human rogue. We've seen some human rogues that cost 1 and a red in the past that do quite well. And with haste. So when it enters the battlefield, choose 1. You've got 3 options. We can discard a card, then draw a card. So that's rummage, because we're discarding first. You can create a treasure token, or you can create a wicked roll token attached to target creature you control. So if you want, you can just make this a 2/2 haste for 2. The wicked roll is, it gets +1/+1, and when the aura is put into the graveyard, each opponent loses 1 life. So 2/2 for 2 haste that pings them for 1 when it dies seems pretty good. Can't complain about that. But depending on where you're at in the game, you may want to rummage and find a better card in your hand, or you may want to create a treasure token. So
triggers celebration.
Yeah, yep. If you need to, you can definitely do that.
Yep.
So I did have a few other cards on my list that were along similar veins. We won't go through them, but it looks like we're getting a few more cards to support a mono red aggressive deck. So love to see it. To be good to see something good back in standard. I still don't like the chances of it beating Sheoldred though, so yeah, I'll just burn some wild cards and never play it again.
Just don't get paired against Sheoldred, it's fine.
Yeah. All right. Well, the set looks pretty cool, actually. I haven't had much of a chance to go right through it, but I really enjoyed Eldraine the first time it came around. The power level was crazy high. There was like 15 cards that got banned out of this set, and the set was still the most powerful set in Standard. So it looks like Wizards have figured out how to not do that, and it doesn't seem like there's anything too broken, but no one thought that Oko was broken either, so who knows what we're going to get. But yeah, I really enjoy the theme of this set and the adventure cards and just everything about it's really, really, really cool. So looking forward to playing this.
Also incredible.
Yeah. And finding those, this card is, this from such and such fairy tale or whatever is, it's always pretty cool. So yeah, looking forward to it. I think I might have to actually draft this set. The last Eldraine set to draft was interesting because it was bot drafts back then, and you just drafted the mill, just forced the mill archetype. So it was a bit broken, but I might have to give it a go. Looks cool.
Good. Everyone should play more limited. Yes. Good messaging. Yes.
So to go along with the new set coming out, we're gonna have another league. So you guys have been mentioning this on the last couple of podcasts. Eldraine releases on Arena on September the 5th, which is Tuesday next week for us, which I don't think they've done that as a release schedule before. We were discussing that earlier. It's a bit strange, but it is kind of good because it's after the pre-release weekend, so people have to go out to the stores and play. So yeah, we'll be looking to kick off the league around about 2 weeks after that, so somewhere around the 18th of September, and there'll be a registration post going up on the Discord, so you can jump in on that. The structure will be basically the same as the previous leagues, seem to work quite well, so we'll be doing that. And if you missed it, I did do some commentary on the semis and the finals this week on stream, and then we've posted that up on YouTube as well, so you can jump on there. You probably already know who wins, but the games were quite good to watch. There was some horrible commentary and me missing a bunch of lines, but there was also a lot of cheese, so you can go and have a look at the snack plate and check out all the different cheese that I bought in Adelaide. So go and have a look, and then sign up for the next league when it comes out. And from what I've been hearing, our mods team are meant to be running a Eldraine sealed event at some point in the near future. So keep an eye out for that. Should be pretty cool. The last one we did was a lot of fun, and people really enjoyed it. So we'll run that back. But obviously we need sealed to be available on Arena for that to happen. Well, if you want to get in on those events, you need to be in our Discord. The link for that is always in the show notes, so come and join us in there. There is a link for our merch store if you want to grab some Beans gear before you head to your next event, so you can rep us and spread the word of the beans. Go and check out Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar. Just go to jpmtgbazaar.com.au and check out all the auctions and win it now lots and claim lots that Pat has going on there, and the ridiculous amount of giveaways that he's been doing lately that I missed out on, unfortunately. But Pat is always giving back to the community, which is what he's doing in sponsoring us. So go and support him and buy some stuff to make sure he keeps sponsoring us. You can go to our website, magicbeanscast.com, where you will find the links for us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and X, I guess. Are we calling it that now? We're still calling it Twitter. Cool. Okay, my phone forced me. It updated the app on me, and now I have an X on my thing. I was hoping to stay on Twitter, but anyway. If you would like to find me on that platform, I am at PeaceInc. Chewy, you are?
At Chewy MTG.
And Cracker?
At JoelHill_.
Very good. So that is it for this week. Thank you, as always, for listening. Stay safe out there, and we will see you all next time.